Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here. Hope everyone's doing well out there. So I'm back with the Bad Cat Zebra Striped guitar. Yep, it's been a while. It's been sitting. It's been kind of curing. I still have to do a little bit more work to the headstock. I end up having a problem where between the humidity outside and how cold the house was at the time, I believe that some humidity built up under the clear and started getting this white milky fog underneath the clear. So I had to refinish the headstock, and I've got thanks to Jeff, I got a couple more of his great work as far as these inlays go of the hummingbirds, and I want to put them on top of the headstock before I clear it. I already have it refinished. As far as the sanding goes, I already did the dye on there and put the sanding sealer. Now it's just waiting for those decals and a clear coat. So right now what I'm working on is I'm concentrating on the fretboard. So what I have is basically a dull fretboard right now. This from here to here is dull, and from here to here is still has a little bit of depth in the finish. It still has the clear to it. The bad thing about spraying outside in, just normal atmosphere with a breeze or whatever, there's stuff floating around the air. It's not a controlled area like having a spray booth would be, where you have fans and filters that basically suck all the impurities out of the air, and it goes through a filter. This way you don't have dust, you don't have bugs, you don't have nothing floating around to where it's going to lay on the finish after you get done spraying. I don't have that luxury. So spraying this outside, there's some dust in the finish. So basically what I'm doing is sanding that dust out of the finish. If it wasn't for that, I probably would have been able just to sand this thing down, because orange peel is like next to nothing on this thing. I love that 2K spray. That Max Spray 2K works really, really good. Nice hard finish, and it's very durable. As far as I can tell, it seems like it's very durable. So how am I getting rid of like the dirt that's on the fretboard itself? Well, I got 4 pencil erasers here. Each one of them is cut to a different width. They're all about the same length. So I have, for the larger areas of the fretboard, I have this one. For the thinner areas, I have this one. For the smaller areas, I have this one. And for the real small areas, I have this one, which works out pretty good. I end up wrapping 1500 grit sandpaper around it, wet sanding the fretboard. I'm not worried about water seeping between the fret, because they're glued in and they've been clear coated over. So there shouldn't be no gap at all between the fret and the fretboard. So I'm not worried about that. And I'm just taking the 1500 grit sandpaper and going over the fret or over the wood of the fretboard until I don't feel any bumps. Like over here, I could feel a little bit of bumps. It's not smooth. So that's basically what I'm doing. So there's still a little bit of shiny spots in the finish. It's because I still have 2 other grits of sandpaper. I got a 2000 and a 3000 grit before I polish them. By the time I get to the 3000 grit, those little shiny spots will be gone, and it'll be a nice, smooth fretboard. The nice thing about the pencil erasers is they're flexible, and I'm able to go with the radius of the fretboard. If I concentrate on more one side of the fretboard and the other side of the fretboard as I'm sanding it, I can see it in the finish, how it's being cut, and I can compensate and start working, so I still keep that radius. So right now I'm going to finish these guys up. After I get done finishing the fretboard and polishing it, I'm going to mask off the fretboard and concentrate on the frets themselves. These are brand new frets. I plucked the old ones out, put brand new frets inside of here. I've already done a rocker test before I sprayed the fretboard itself to see what kind of a mess I made as far as these frets go installing them. And they're not bad. They're actually pretty level. I could probably get away with not doing a leveling job, but because I have clear coat on top of these guys, I think I'm just going to do a leveling job anyways and clean off the frets. The edges they came out really good. That bar that I have that has the file on it that angles the edges of the frets did a job on this thing to where I couldn't do it by hand with a normal file if I even tried. It indented a little bit of the fret, so there's a little bit of the binding that shows on the sides of each fret. It looks really clean. I mean, it looks really nice. And the only thing I have to do is just the little edge of the top of the fret is a little bit on the sharp side from that file. So I'm going to have to kind of round that a little bit. But as far as the, corners of the fret, grabbing anything, it came out really nice. So I'm going to work on this. I still have this part of the fretboard to concentrate on and finish. And then I'll start masking off the fretboard, and after it's polished, and start working on the frets. So I'm going to show you a little bit of how I've been doing this. So now I'm in the lower part of the fretboard. I'm going to need a little bit thinner of a pencil eraser in order to do this. And just wrap it around there and kind of just go up against the fret and just go side to side following the radius of the fretboard. And once I go so many passes, I'll wipe I'm wet sanding this, by the way. So I'm going to go so many passes, remove it, wipe off the water, and kind of feel if I feel anything. If I do feel any like little bump or something, that's dirt or dust in the finish. And I'll go over it again, which in this case I don't. But what I'm doing is I'm making sure that the edges of these are square, like sharp edges of these erasers. That way when I'm going up against the fret, I'm not kind of curving it, it's flat. So the fretboard up against the frets should be nice and flat. There shouldn't be no dip or U-shape or kind of like a little bit of a radius going up into the fret. There shouldn't be any of that. And if you wrap the sandpaper around tight enough, you can eliminate that from happening. So like I said, just a few passes, just to feel it out. Yeah, it's working out pretty damn good. And after the 1500, I will go with either the 2000 or 2500, and then go up to the 3000. And then go ahead and start polishing after that. Good. Now remember, add a little bit of soap to your sanding water. This way the sandpaper won't grab the finish, and it'll give you a little bit of lubrication for when you're sanding. Need a little bit more water on that one. It's a little bit too dry. Haha, Mr. Jeff Lee comes through again at Diamond Cut Graphics. This is something I've been kind of waiting for, so I can get that headstock finished on this guitar. So let's see what I got here. All right. Nice little packaging. Oops. All right. So I got the little wind guy again. I got a silver, an orange, another orange, and then the two blacks facing the other directions. All right, so now I can make the headstock and get that done on this thing and get some clear on it. I already got the back of the headstock masked off because I don't need to do any work on the back of this thing. I just need to work on the front. So I'll end up masking off the rest of the body, which basically wrapping it in plastic so I don't get any overspray on what I've already sanded here and what I need to work on over here. Plus the back of the neck, the holes have been covered in the back of it. Like I said, the back of the headstock is all taken care of as far as getting it done. So now to finish up on these frets here. So once again, I have to thank Jeff Lee over at Diamond Cut Graphics USA for coming through for me again with the decals that I need to finish this project that I'm working on. The decals that I ended up putting on the headstock, I had a problem with the clear coat. A little bit of humidity got underneath the clear as I was applying it, or it's just too humid outside to put clear down. That can cause a problem, which it did. So I had to strip the headstock again. Got a hold of Jeff over at Diamond Cut Graphics USA, and he shot me over what I needed to get this thing done. Now, I don't know if I've ever shown or really explained too much about his product and what he's doing and how he does it, but these decals are a vinyl decal. They have an adhesive on the back of them. They stay put. I mean, I haven't had no problems with the decals that he made for me for my SUV for kind of advertising what I'm doing, which has been pretty good as far as the advertising goes. I have gotten a couple of hits on some people who wanted business cards, but I don't have any, so I'm going to have to make some of those up. But none of the decals lifted, peeled, none of the corners came up on them, and as hot as it's been outside, usually the heat will loosen up adhesive, and I haven't had any problems with them. On the guitar, they've worked out great. I've done the Jackson headstock for Weedy Guitar Studios, and using Jeff Lee's product, and it came out perfect. They're very, very thin. You can clear coat over them. When you're applying your clear, you want to have the decal down over your surface, apply a couple coats of clear, sand it down a little bit to kind of get rid of the bump, because there is a little bit of a bump that you will get from the decal itself because it's something on top of another surface that you're clearing. Once the clear shrinks and becomes a lot stronger than what it was when it was a liquid form, you do get a little bit of a bump. But when you sand it, careful not to sand through your clear, those bumps go away, and they go away quite easily. And after you put your last clear coat down, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is not one lip bump or anything over here. They come out great. Great product. Thanks again, Jeff Lee. Diamond Cut Graphics USA, you guys are great. Well, I think it's just Jeff Lee who works there. So, but anyways, you're great. And let's get back to working on this. So why should today be different than any other day? As soon as I get involved in something, something always comes up. But this is kind of a good thing. Today, the marine grade vinyl showed up for the upholstery for my kitchen chairs. So I've got 6 chairs. I got 3 done. And yeah, so I got 3 more to go. So yay.